I've been thinking a lot lately about the weight we all carry when it comes to our finances, and I want to share a perspective that might ruffle some feathers, but it's one I believe is desperately needed right now. My name is Maaz, and if you've spent any time looking at personal finance tips online, you've likely been bombarded with the idea that you need a side hustle to survive. We are told that our 9 to 5 isn't enough, that we should be monetizing every waking hour, and that if we aren't driving for an app or running a boutique shop from our kitchen tables, we're somehow falling behind. But here is the reality that most of those experts won't tell you. For the vast majority of people, side hustles are actually overrated. Don't get me wrong, I understand the appeal, and I know they have their place in certain situations, especially when you're trying to bridge a temporary gap or build an emergency fund. However, if your goal is building real, sustainable, long-term wealth, chasing a side gig might actually be the very thing that is slowing you down and keeping you from the success you're working so hard to achieve. When money feels tight and those financial goals, like paying off debt or finally getting into the stock market, feel miles away, the instinct to grab a second stream of income is strong. It feels like the most obvious and logical answer, because more money coming in should equal faster progress. But before you jump into the driver's seat of a delivery vehicle on a Friday night or sacrifice your evening peace to manage a dropshipping store, I want you to step back and look at the true cost of that choice. We have to be honest about whether a side hustle is actually the best use of your most precious resource, which isn't money, but your time and energy. For a lot of us, it simply isn't the most effective path, and there are 3 very specific reasons why this popular trend often falls short of the promises it makes. The first reason is something many people realize only after they've spent months grinding away at a secondary job, and that is the fact that the pay is often remarkably low. When you look at the statistics, like those from Bankrate, the median income for a side hustle is only about $200 a month. Think about that for a second. We are told these are wealth builders, yet nearly 30% of people doing them are making less than $50 a month. When you start to peel back the layers and factor in the hidden costs, the gas, the wear and tear on your car, the extra taxes you'll owe, and the sheer number of hours you're putting in, the effective hourly rate is usually far below what you're already making at your main career. I'd be willing to bet that your 9 to 5 pays you significantly more per hour than delivering fast food on a rainy weekend ever will. While the side hustle feels like progress because you see a small, immediate bump in your bank account, the math often reveals a different story that doesn't hold up under scrutiny. The second reason we need to be careful is the very real threat of burnout. We live in an era where work-life balance is already a struggle, and if you're already working full-time, adding nights and weekends to your plate comes with a heavy price tag. There is a physiological and psychological cost to constant labor. You're getting less sleep, spending less time with the people who actually matter to you, and losing the mental recovery time that your brain desperately needs to function at a high level. This leads to a dangerous cycle where your performance at your main job, the one that actually pays your bills, provides your health insurance, and offers a path for career growth, starts to slip. By the year 2025, over 66% of employees reported experiencing some form of burnout. If you add a second job on top of a full-time schedule, you aren't just working hard, you're creating a recipe for chronic stress and exhaustion. If you aren't careful, that side hustle can derail your primary income, damage your physical health, and ultimately delay the very financial goals you were trying to reach. The third reason, and perhaps the most important one that people rarely consider, is the concept of opportunity cost. This is the big one in my eyes. Ask yourself what would happen if you took every ounce of that extra time and energy you'd put into a side gig and invested it directly back into your primary career instead. Imagine using those hours to earn a professional certification that makes you indispensable, or building a specialized skill set that opens the door to a much higher paying role. It could be as simple as putting in the extra effort to earn a leadership position, or spending time networking with the right people in your industry. Your primary income is, and likely always will be, your single greatest wealth building tool. Sometimes it makes far more sense to focus on growing the engine you already have rather than trying to bolt on a tiny secondary motor that will never have the same horsepower. To illustrate this, let's look at two different paths, which I'll call the Alex and Jordan approaches. Alex decides to take the side hustle route. He works several extra hours every week, grinding away at a task that isn't related to his career, and manages to generate an extra $10,000 per year. He's happy because he has more money to invest, but he's also exhausted and has no more room to grow in that side gig. Jordan, on the other hand, ignores the side hustle trend. She takes that same amount of time and energy and pours it into her career. She gets a certification, attends industry events, and prepares meticulously for her annual performance review. Because of that focused effort, she lands a raise worth $15,000 more per year. On paper, Jordan is already ahead, but the real power is in the long-term impact. That $15,000 isn't a one-time bonus, it's her new baseline. Every future raise she gets will be calculated on top of that higher number. Her 401k contributions and her employer match both go up automatically. Meanwhile, Alex has to go out and earn that same $10,000 again and again, year after year, trading more and more of his precious spare time for money. It's two very different outcomes for roughly the same amount of effort, but Jordan's path creates a permanent lift in her wealth-building potential. If you're starting to think that a side hustle might not be the right move for you, I suggest a two-step path to move forward. Step one is to ruthlessly maximize your primary income. You have to ask yourself an honest, perhaps uncomfortable question. Have you fully invested in your own marketability? It might sound like corporate jargon, but the best investment you can ever make is in yourself. Strategic networking and learning how to advocate for your own value can yield returns that no delivery app or small online shop can ever match. Once you have focused on that, step two is to increase your savings rate. This is where many people fail. A higher salary doesn't build wealth on its own. I've seen plenty of people making high six figures who are completely broke because of lifestyle creep. When that raise comes, don't just upgrade your life, upgrade your future. I always recommend aiming to save and invest 25% of your gross income. Every raise is an opportunity to hit that target or surpass it. Even a modest increase in your income can make a massive difference over a 20 or 30-year horizon, but only if you have the discipline not to spend it the moment it hits your account. To make this work, you have to make your investing automatic. Set up your accounts so that the money moves before you even have a chance to see it. If the money is gone before you can spend it, you'll naturally adjust your lifestyle to fit what's left. This set it and forget it mentality is the secret weapon of the wealthy. Now, I want to be clear about something, because I don't want you to walk away with the wrong impression. Side hustles are not inherently evil or bad. There are absolutely scenarios where they make perfect sense. For instance, if your side hustle is actually a lean way to test a business concept you eventually want to run full-time, that is smart entrepreneurship. If you're consulting in your primary field during your off hours, you're getting a double benefit: extra cash and a stronger professional network. And finally, if you have a side hobby that you truly love, something that brings you genuine joy and satisfaction, and it happens to make a little money without costing you your health or your career, then go for it. Life isn't just about a spreadsheet or maximizing every cent. It's about fulfillment. However, we have to recognize that successful, wealth-changing side hustles are the exception, not the rule. Most people who start them don't keep them going long enough to see a meaningful change in their finances because the burnout is too high and the rewards are too low. Before you sign away your nights and weekends, take a very honest look at your current situation. Ask yourself how much your time is really worth and how much growth is still left in your primary career. You might just find that the most effective path to the life you want isn't out there in a new gig, but right in front of you. By focusing on intentional work, growing your main income, and consistently investing the difference, you create a foundation that is solid and sustainable. At the end of the day, both paths can help you earn more money, but it's what you choose to do with that money that builds real, lasting wealth. My goal for you is to stop trading your life for pennies and start building a future that allows you to actually enjoy the fruits of your labor. Keep your eyes on the long game, stay focused on your own value, and keep building towards that great, big, beautiful tomorrow we're all working for.